Well, good morning. Here we are again with our partner Alex from GMR Advocates in Kenya. And we have been doing this series of webinars or podcasts in which we discuss several aspects of what's going on in Kenya, several aspects of how we can best service our clients in both parts of the world. And here we're going to be kindly probing into our Alex's wonderful fountain of knowledge and discussing some aspects, in particular today, about how the export and the agricultural export, specifically business, works in Kenya, and why it is such a good opportunity for us to look into and consider seriously as an investment chance. So again, Alex, thank you very much for being with me. Thank you very much for your time. How are you today?
I'm very well, Gus. Good to see you today, and hello to all our viewers. Good to be here.
Exactly. Our numbers are growing and growing by the minute, so we're very happy to have a growing audience with us. I was mentioning previously, Alex, when I was doing this short intro, that the business area that involves the export of fruit and veg, or rather food-related products, is becoming more and more interesting for investment, foreign capital that wants to be put into work in Kenya, work in this industry. Could you tell us a little bit more about how it works, about the regulations, and about how perhaps it has become in recent years more and more interesting to look into that as a viable business opportunity?
Thank you, Gus. Well, agriculture for a long time has been, the bedrock of the Kenyan economy for since the colonial times to since after we got independence, and this is because there were two key resources when it comes to agriculture. There was availability of good arable land. And in terms of good arable land, that goes side by side with very good weather, the rain patterns, the sun. That is something that Kenya has in abundance. Then, secondly, there was a good human resource. Human resource in terms of numbers, the age group of that human resource. We have a very youthful population. And now, increasingly, we have a very well educated population in terms of agronomy, technology, and everything that is needed within that sector. So that is why agriculture has been huge. But now moving forward, something else is also favoring agriculture globally, and this is the demand for organic food, organic farming, and by people are watching what they eat. And in Kenya, there is huge potential for that. That's why you will see a lot of demand when it comes to horticultural products, fruits and vegetables. That there is a rising demand for that kind of agricultural produce.
Sure, that's perfect. So I get from this that you mentioned two key points or two main sides of this. The first one being, of course, or rather three, perhaps, if I may. The first one being the natural landscape, the environment, that it's so benevolent in this case, and so it lends itself so well for this area of business. Secondly, of course, we have the people. We know from our previous conversation, our experience there as well, that the human capital in Kenya is amazing, is huge, is very thriving. We can say that, and it has been for many, many years. And the last one, perhaps, is the availability, or rather how the institutions are making it possible for foreign investment, foreign capital to arrive in Kenya and operate in a way that is free, that it's and is conducive to good business both within and outside Kenya. So I'll touch very briefly on the second aspect that I just mentioned, the human resource capital, the human availability of good working people. What is it like for a foreign entrepreneur, let's say a business owner that wants to engage in working with Kenyan workforce, that wants to engage in sort of instituting employment contracts that wants to start working with them to be a good, productive part of the social fabric in a way that A, is law abiding, of course, and B, that is able to be conducive to good business. Can you tell us something about that?
Well, I think in terms of the human resource, the biggest thing is first of all for an investor to understand the jurisdiction and the legal framework that governs employment. In Kenya, we have very good progressive employment laws. So an investor has to ensure that they comply with our employment laws. This includes the periodic guidelines issued by the government in terms of minimum wage. Because a large degree of people working in the agricultural sector belong to that minimum wage sort of category. So it is important for an investor to understand the minimum wage categories for different areas within the country. So the minimum wage category in the capital of Nairobi or the metropolis of the capital of Nairobi would be higher than would be in frontier areas of Kenya. So that is something that would be an investor needs to consider. Then secondly is also in terms of contracting, employment contracting. One needs to look out for the nature of employment contracts that they get into. This is in terms of are you outsourcing labor or will you need to employ labor yourself? So that needs to be considered in terms of the benefits one will be giving the employees vis-a-vis the cost of doing business. So those are the major considerations. And I think those considerations are similar to what we'll find in any jurisdiction.
Fantastic, fantastic. And of course, it's very interesting that you mentioned the minimum wage and the well-being in general of the workforce, because it is, of course, of the utmost importance that whoever comes and works in Kenya with foreign capital has the workforce as one of the main priorities. We want to be able to help people thrive in a way that is conscientious, in a way that helps the local economy, in a way that is just. And it works for everybody, but basically it's a win-win. And of course, we don't need to specify this, but you guys at GMR, you specify, you work specifically with this kind of things. You basically do this day in and day out. So that's why we're referring to you in this particular set of questions. So we have the mind of the expert here on the table. So that's quite a privilege, I gotta say. And Alex, I think, again, we could talk about this for hours and hours and hours. And of course, it would be up to each specific client and the specific needs. So we don't need to go too long into this. But perhaps one very last question about this, something I'd like to share with our audience, would be in terms of the whole process, the onboarding process. So let's say between the inception of the idea, I want to do this sort of business in Kenya, let's say, between that and the actual putting into place of the whole thing. Of course, we cannot comment as to the technicalities, how long it takes to get the place running, to get the people, because that depends on other aspects. But how easy is it to navigate the system with the right guidance, of course, but how easy is it, how much of a smooth process is it from inception to put into action?
I think the country is at a situation where, right at this particular moment, it's not too hard, but this one must take the steps as laid down in the law, and it will also depend on the nature of the operation that the investor needs to put in. So that includes whether it's, and in the nature is also dependent on the scale of the investment one needs to do. So if you're going to do, probably if you may allow me, I can take us through the steps for an agricultural investor. So it will start at choosing, first of all, how to go about it. And this can include one, incorporating a special purpose vehicle. For instance, a limited liability company,